The next section in writing the business plan is section 4, the market analysis. Very important. This is where we talk about target market. So in this case, I want you to tell us what the market is doing. What's the size of the market? For example, and that's size in dollars, not in people. If everyone in your market that's an eligible buyer bought your computer or bought your service or bought your whatever at $20 a piece or $100 a piece, whatever the price is, what's the total amount of dollars that would be? Now, everyone's not going to buy from you, but at least that tells the reader, again, what the size of the total market or total addressable market, like it says in the Disciplined Entrepreneurship book, what's the size of the total addressable market? Knowing you're not going to get 100% of that. But if the total market is only $500,000, is that really worth going into? On the other hand, if it's $100 billion and there are some major players in there, can you realistically break into that market? So there's probably a sweet spot in there. It's big, but at least tell us what the size of the market is. What's the market doing? Is it growing 3.5% a year? Has it been flat the last 5 years? What's going on there? Talk about market segments. If you have, for example, and I hear this idea at least once a semester, so I'm not disclosing any big trade secrets here. A mobile laundry service. Somebody says, we're going to be Uber for laundry. People don't like to do their laundry. I'm going to match people who want clean clothes with people who will wash their laundry, deliver it, fold it. If that's your business idea, who are the market segments, right? Of course, in Stillwater, it says, oh, college students, they're going to be a perfect target market. They might be. Who are the other market segments? Is that busy single professionals in their 30s and 40s? They're working 55, 60 hours a week. They really don't have time to do laundry. They don't want to mess with it. They're making $70 an hour. They're going to spend their valuable time doing laundry. So they're glad to pay somebody. It may be seniors who just don't want to do laundry anymore. It may be people who live in apartments who it's a big hassle to drive to the laundromat or to go downstairs if that apartment complex even has washers and dryers. They just don't want to mess with it. They're glad to spend some money on your service to come get it. So identify the different market segments and then tell me which one is your favorite and why. Too often I see under market segments, people just pick one segment and they say, this is who we're going after, but don't explore that any further. So you should be able to identify at least 3 or 4 market segments, and you'll have a favorite. Tell me who that is. And that's where we get into discussing that user profile or that persona in Aulet's book. So that's demographics, psychographics, usage rates. So somebody who uses the service just a little bit, or they use it all the time, or medium. So tell us all about that user and how you're going to provide the best service for them. You can also talk about that. Aulet book talks about their decision-making process. So how do they buy? Why do they buy? When do they buy? Do they have to check with other people, or is the end user also the economic buyer? So tell us a little bit about that as well. The better you can identify that target market, the more detailed you can be, the easier some of the rest of this will be. That will drive pricing and marketing and operations. So all those things are a reflection of who this target market is. Moving on to the next section, the competition. Please don't tell me you have zero competition. Even if there's not a company currently doing what you want to do, there is probably an indirect competitor, or there's the status quo. People may be doing nothing. You say, oh, this is a brand new product. People will love it. If people are doing without it right now, will they be able to continue to do without it? So the competition is what they're currently doing now. And just because you offer a brand new product doesn't mean everybody's going to rush out and buy one. One of the good ways to present this information about competition is a grid. So down the side, you'll have on the x-axis, if you will, your company at the top, and then below that company A, B, C, etc. Across the top, you'll have different factors that people judge this product or service by. So it could be price, quality, responsiveness, turnaround time. It could be delivery. It could be technological advancement. It could be whatever that those factors are, those characteristics that make people choose that product. And then rank wherever you fall and where other companies fall. Now, it's not realistic if you have 7 factors going across the top to say, we check the box here, 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 here. We're the best at all of these. If I'm reading that, or if an investor is reading that, they're just going to say, I don't think I buy that. I don't believe that your company does this better than these other companies. This one's been in business 4 years. This one's been in business 10 years. You're telling me as a brand new company, you do this better? You do all these things better than all these existing companies? It's just not believable. So you should be, or should try to be better at a couple of those things. So maybe you excel at quality. We're going to offer the best quality, and we're going to offer the best, just extraordinary customer service. And that's great. That means you probably won't be the best on price. Your price may be a little higher. Nothing wrong with that. Let other people be the lowest price or the faster turnaround time. But if people want the best quality and the best service, they're going to come to you. So that chart or that grid is a good way to capture that instead of writing 2 pages narrative of this company does this company does this. So that's one way to do that. The next section is economics of the business, another critical part of the business plan. This is how you make money, where the money comes from, what you're spending money on. So be sure and tell us what your revenue sources are. If you have more than one, that's great. If you just have one, that's fine too, but tell us what that is. Here's how we will get paid. What's the business model? Are you a fee for service? Is it a freemium company? Are you a manufacturer? Do you have a subscription service? So what's the business model, and how do you get paid? This is also the Shark Tank question. If you've ever seen that show, very often they ask, what does it cost you to make one? And then how much do you sell it for? Keep in mind, if you are creating a product, you have your cost to make it. And if you sell it, if it costs you $10 to make one and you sell it for $24.95 at retail, you don't necessarily get to keep the difference, $14.95, because you will have your cost to sell it. You will probably sell it to the retailer at wholesale, and then they'll sell it at retail. So that cuts the margins out a lot. If you say we make it for $10, we're going to sell it for $17, and they're going to sell it for $24.95. The retailers aren't probably going to go for that. They want to probably at least double their money. If they're going to sell it for $25, they don't want to pay more than $12 or $13 for it, because it's just not worth it to them for all their costs. They still have to do inventory and pay employees, and they have to pay their bills. So there has to be a margin in it for them. So very often things are marked up double twice. So if it costs you $10 to make it, you sell it wholesale for $20, retailer will sell it for $40. And it's easy to think, oh my gosh, it only costs $10. Why are they selling it for $40? Because if that margin's not built in, there's just not enough left over for each entity, each company along the way to make money. And so it's tempting to say, we're gonna make it for $10, we'll sell it for $12, and then they can sell it for $24 at retail. But if you make it for $10, sell it for $12, there's just not enough margin there. You're not going to make any money by the time you start paying all your fixed costs. Speaking of those, a good way to do fixed costs, variable cost, is certainly identify those, but create a table where you list all your fixed costs. So you have rent, utilities, insurance, legal services, bookkeeping services, web hosting costs, whatever those fixed costs are that you have to pay every month or every year, regardless of how many items you sell, and just give us a total in a table of what your total fixed costs are. Create another table that is your startup costs. So if you have a landscaping company, and this is the money you have to spend before you can even open the doors. So it's landscaping. I got to buy a couple of mowers. I need a tractor. I need a trailer to haul this stuff on. I need 3 weed eaters. I need insurance. I need to print some flyers. I need a website. So whatever that is, total it up. Those are your startup costs. Be sure and list a table of those startup costs. There's another video that shows break-even calculations, or a template actually in Excel, how to do break-even calculation. That's very helpful to have in there. That's the main thing. Just how are you going to make money? What's your profit margin? And because if you can't convince the reader, the investor, that this is going to be profitable, we're actually going to make money, they're probably not going to be as interested in investing in your company. There's another video after this that will talk about the remainder of the business plan.